I always believed that betrayal comes from enemies. You watch your back, you expect it from people who don't like you, and you prepare yourself. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepares you for betrayal that comes from the two people you trusted most, your wife and your best friend. For years, I thought I was living the perfect life. I had a stable job as an architect, a beautiful wife named Claire, and a best friend, David, who had been by my side since college. We were inseparable. David wasn't just a friend, he was a brother to me. He helped me move into my first apartment, stood beside me on my wedding day, and even held me up when my father passed away. If anyone had told me that this man would one day betray me, I would have laughed in their face. But life has a cruel way of showing you truths you don't want to see. It all began when I noticed Claire acting strange. We had been married for 6 years, and while every couple has ups and downs, we always managed to talk through our issues. But recently, she seemed distant, always glued to her phone, smiling at messages she wouldn't show me, and making excuses to stay out late. I told myself it was stress from her job at the hospital, long hours, extra shifts, but deep down, something didn't feel right. The breaking point came one evening when I decided to surprise her at work with dinner. I walked into the hospital lounge with a bag of her favorite takeout, expecting to see her on break. But she wasn't there. One of her colleagues told me she had left early, about an hour ago. That was odd, because she hadn't mentioned it to me. I tried calling her, but she didn't pick up. Driving home, my chest felt heavy, but I pushed the doubts away. When I got there, her car wasn't in the driveway. I sat in the living room, waiting, staring at the clock as minutes turned into hours. At midnight, she walked in, looking flustered. "Where were you?" I asked gently. She hesitated for a second before answering. "Just, extra paperwork." Then I grabbed coffee with a colleague. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But the smell of cologne on her clothes wasn't hers, or mine. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every smile, every laugh, every excuse. My gut screamed at me, but my heart begged me to trust her. A week later, the truth hit me like a freight train. David invited me to a weekend barbecue at his place. It wasn't unusual, he often hosted small gatherings. But when I walked into his backyard, carrying a pack of beer, I noticed something strange. Claire was there. She hadn't told me she was going. And the way her eyes met David's, it was a look I had never seen before. A spark. An unspoken connection. My stomach dropped, but I forced a smile, pretending nothing was wrong. All evening, I watched them, how close they stood, how they laughed at private jokes, how their eyes lingered a second too long. That night, I couldn't shake the image from my head. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I installed a small tracking app on Claire's phone. 2 days later, while she told me she was working late, I watched her location move across town, straight to David's apartment. My hands shook, my throat went dry, and tears burned my eyes. But I didn't call her. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I drove to David's place and parked across the street. My worst nightmare unfolded before me as I watched them through the window, my wife, laughing in the arms of my best friend. The man who once swore he'd always protect me. I didn't rush in. I didn't scream. I recorded everything. My phone camera captured their betrayal, proof that would become the foundation of my revenge. The next weeks were the hardest of my life. I had to smile, pretend, live under the same roof with Claire, knowing every kiss she gave me was a lie. Every "I love you" tasted of poison. But I stayed quiet, because silence is sometimes the most dangerous weapon. Meanwhile, I gathered evidence. Photos, videos, text messages, I had it all. Claire's lies about working late. Her girls' nights that were actually secret rendezvous. David's smug messages about how she'd leave me soon enough. I wanted to destroy them, but I didn't want to just catch them. I wanted to make sure they felt the same pain, the same humiliation, that they had given me. So I began planning. David owned a small business, a marketing firm he had poured his life into. He bragged about it constantly. But what he didn't know was that I had connections. One of my clients, a lawyer, agreed to help me dig deeper. We discovered shady dealings in David's company, fake invoices, unpaid taxes, and even stolen intellectual property. Things that could ruin him if exposed. At the same time, I prepared my personal life. I transferred funds to a separate account, hired a divorce lawyer, and even secured temporary custody papers. I wasn't just going to walk away, I was going to walk away with everything they thought they had taken from me. The moment came on a Friday evening. Claire told me she was working late again. I nodded, kissed her on the cheek, and said, "Don't be too late, love." She smiled, not knowing it was the last lie she'd ever tell me. I followed her to David's apartment. This time, I didn't stay outside. I waited until they were fully comfortable, until laughter filled the room. Then I walked in. The look on their faces. Priceless. Claire's smile froze, her glass of wine slipping from her hand. David stammered, "It's not what it looks like." I cut him off, calmly placing my phone on the table. I hit play. The room filled with the sound of their own voices, moaning, whispering, confessing love for each other. Their faces turned pale. "You think I didn't know?" I said quietly. "I've known for weeks." Claire broke down instantly. She begged, cried, reached for me. David tried to justify, claiming it just happened, that he didn't mean to hurt me. But I didn't shout. I didn't punch. I simply handed Claire the divorce papers. And then I turned to David. "By the way," I said coldly, "you might want to check your inbox." That morning, I had sent every piece of evidence of his fraudulent business practices to the authorities, along with the clients he had scammed. His company was finished. His reputation, gone. Claire lost me. David lost everything. In the weeks that followed, Claire tried to contact me, to explain, to apologize. I ignored her. She moved back with her parents, her career tainted by whispers of scandal. David? His company collapsed, lawsuits piled up, and the last I heard, he left town in disgrace. And me? I rebuilt. I focused on my work, my health, and my peace. The pain didn't vanish overnight, but every day, it grew lighter. And every time I thought of their faces that night, the shock, the terror, the realization that they had underestimated me, I smiled. Because sometimes, revenge isn't about rage. Sometimes it's about patience. About letting them believe they've won, only to pull the ground out from under them when they least expect it. They thought they could betray me and walk away. But in the end, I walked away stronger, while they were left in ruins. And that, my friends, is the sweetest revenge of all.